Things that one of the major things that dog owners get is, unfortunately, everybody thinks they're a trainer, and everybody underestimates the fact that a dog has intelligence. He has feelings, he has needs, he has wants, and of course, all of that, like a human or a child, come together. The dog itself goes through 3 stages of life, much the same as a child going through 3 stages of growth in his life. Birth, or 0 to 8 months, is the puppy stage, just as it is birth to 8 years maybe is the children's age. 8 to 16 would be the what we call the teenage years. That's the hardest for the dog. He's coming into a new growth period. He's beginning to expand his horizons. He's beginning to think more. He's planning on how he can get around the owner and get away with things, much the same as a teenager schemes in certain ways to get his way. And then 16 months or 18 months to 24, they start to settle down, and by 2, most of them mature, as do the children. When they hit 18, 19, 20, they start growing and expanding their horizons in a broadened way. So the dog is pretty much the same as a child. Most people have the feeling that a dog is just a dog. It's much more than that. The very first thing that we tell people in the training is at the seminar is, forget you have a dog. What you really have is an extended child, because all dogs act, think, and react much the same as children growing up through their 3 stages of life. So we have to consider that whether it's 2 legs or 4 legs, you pretty much have a thinking child, a thinking animal, an extension. So people tend to forget that, and they put less importance on the dog, which is a mistake. The other big problem is people wait longer than they really should for training, because once your dog gets past 6 months, 8 months, on the average 8 months, he starts to incorporate behavioral patterns and situations that then have to be eliminated if they're bad, and incorporated with new or better, correct training patterns. If we get them at 12 to 14 weeks of age, you can eliminate that, because at that point your dog comes with an empty head, pretty much. And you can instill in him, through the puppy training, what it is you want to start off with, and just build on that as he gets older. Once you go through our training course, you just pay the 1 fee. That's it. And then it's a lifetime of training after that for no extra money. So it takes the burden off them having to pay, and yet they can come back as often and whenever they want. And that's a nice feeling for people.
From German Shepherds to Labs.
Well, we've had all those German Shepherds. Kids, and we found this out in Florida. We had another special program, and it sounds like a lot, but we were working about 80 hours plus a week, every week in Florida. And we found that there were a lot of children, whether they were in the training programs or not, that were afraid of dogs. And the bigger the dog, the more fear. We used to go into the school systems, the grammar schools, and we'd go into the hospitals and nursing homes with our dogs as therapy dogs. When we went into the grammar schools, there was always 1 or 2 kids that would see the German Shepherd and let out a scream for fear. Most kids didn't, but some of them did, and it was those kids that we wanted to reach, because I personally think that a dog is for every kid. There's that communication between dog and child, unlike dog and adult. That's just wonderful. To see them work together, to play together, to learn together, to become partners, so to speak. I know my own daughter growing up, we were endowed with as many as 4 shepherds in the house at one time. She was not only well protected, but they bonded with her faster than anybody else. It's just a natural pairing of the two. So we wanted to reach those children in particular who were afraid of dogs. So we instituted a program whereby we took one of our more gentler shepherds, and we started from the back, the hindquarters, and we let them touch them. And we held the head. And eventually they worked up to the center and up to the head finally. And it was a relief for them to be able, and a thrill for them to be able to touch a dog face to face, with all these fears that they thought they had, but were false. So we put that into a training program for kids with younger children. Right now we take them from 8 years and up, okay? We want to start them even younger this year because if you get a child at a very young age over his fear of dogs, and unfortunately many of the kids that have a fear of dogs is because it comes from the parents. Watch out, don't touch him, watch out, he's big, be careful now, he'll bite you. Sayings like that put fears into kids when it's unnecessary. A dog isn't necessarily just going to walk up and bite a child because the mother or father says so. But that's what you hear a lot because many parents are afraid of big dogs, so they instill that in their children. We want children to not have a fear, but an awareness that yes, dogs can bite, but if they're treated right, handled right, they won't. There's no reason for them to. So we want to start them early on a program, very young, whereby we bring the dogs to them, they touch, they feel, they play with their feet. At a very young age, they pet them, and just start communicating with dogs early so that by the time they're 8, 9, 10, they may want a dog. Not necessarily going to get one, but they may want one, and they'll have less of a fear and a greater respect. And that's the key word in everything we do, whether it's children, whether it's adults. We teach everybody that this is a dog. If you want respect from him, you must give him the same respect. It's not a piece of chattel. It's not a piece of wood. It's not a lawn furniture. You don't own it and just do nothing with it. It's a living, breathing element. So if you want respect, you have to give it. And we teach respect for the animals. And in turn, you can see both children and adults get so much more out of the dog because the dog is much more willing to give. Every dog has the capacity to love. Every child has the capacity to love. It's bringing the two together and eliminating the fears so that when they are older and they are adults, they'll have the same joy of owning a dog as everybody else. There are some adults that have never owned a dog because they've feared it all their life. And nobody ever did anything to say this is not something to fear, this is something to enjoy. So they've really lost out on a wonderful duo or combination in life. Yeah, they're a lot of work. They are a lot of work. It's almost like raising a child, and then some. But everything in its place. Everything has a time. Everything has a training program. I have to start all over with Abby, the new pup, when she comes. And I haven't done that in 3 years since with Jake. Some dogs are easier to train and break. Every single dog in the world can be housebroken in 1 week if you do it right. We have a training program for that too. 90% of what we did in Mistywood, 90% of what we do now, we're here in the mountains, is at no charge. We are on the phone a lot. We do an awful lot of talking, an awful lot of solving problems on the phone, a lot of communicating with people, whether it's at the class, after, or just at home. Everywhere I go downtown, I meet a lot of people now and say, I know who you are, I got a problem. We'll stand there and talk if it's all day if they need it. We're out to promote, as we always have been, proper care and handling and respect of the dog, and in return, showing them just how much love they can get from an animal like this. It's just a wonderful relationship, and I want to see everybody, every kid get in on that. And so many, I think, are missing out. It's a dog is a dog is a dog, and we want to dispel and get rid of that. It's just a dog theory. It's not. It's an integral part of your household. It's a big part of your family, and we want the kids and the adults to not only love them and respect them, but treat them as part of their household. And the rewards in return from these guys, this guy here gives us infinite love. Infinite love. He just thrives on being petted, touched, loved, and he's just there for you. He's a sweetheart. He's a sweetheart. He's just not what I need for my